That's what mine will sound like. Alright, I got my bolts in from Mazda. These are the rear mount bolts that attach to the transmission, and you get 2 of these. These are shorter than this one. And we're going to go ahead and install them. You got your 2 shorter ones up top. You can see how thicker the bracket is right here than up there, so that's going to get the longer bolt. And all I have to do is kind of manipulate this mount down a little bit so that I can slide these bolts through. It's pretty easy. Just start, putting those in and torque them down to whatever specification those require, and I will add that right here. Okay, I got the rear mount on. ND28 is supposed to be coming up here in a little bit, and we're probably going to end up tackling the shift link, the shift rod. And I have to get the exhaust system off and then the heat shield before we can drop the shift lever. Here's a good shot at my drinking straw. That exhaust system is not coming off. There's no way I can fit it through that gap going either direction. What I'm going to do is drop it on the one side, just lower it and scoot it out of the way, and that'll give me access to the heat shield and the shift lever and all that stuff. It will be in the way a little bit. It should be out of the way enough where I can drop the heat shield and get and do what I need to do. Just a pain in the ass. Yeah, I dropped the exhaust. As you can see, it was sitting on top of the cooler there. Dropped it, just lays on the ground beside it. I have to go through and take off all of these 10mm bolts with these long studs, so you're going to need a D-pole socket or a 10mm wrench, and it's going to be real slow going. I don't know how many bolts there are. It looks like there's only 4. Okay, after you get all 4 bolts off, Andy's here by the way.
What's up, guys?
This has to be removed from the studs, and then it slides backwards to remove it off of this flange, and then it can be taken out. That's where the shifter goes?
Yeah. So this is where the center console is. Oh yeah, that's your e-brake.
That's a frequently asked question. These break sometimes, and people have questions on the forums about the emergency brakes. Probably the most likely place that it's going to break is on this cable end right here, because it's underneath the car. Yes, it's above the heat shield, but it's underneath the car. So for all you guys that are up north, this is just galvanized steel cable. So you guys up north that have salt in your winters, that's probably going to corrode right through. And that means dropping the exhaust, dropping the heat shield, and that's just to inspect that. Alright, yeah, that would be smart. Although, thank you, yes. No, leave that out, that's fine. Because I don't want that on to possibly cause a spark. So I'll take that off first, and then that.
Is this off actually?
Yeah, because you unplugged it.
Hey Deb, you got insurance on that thing? I'll light a match. Get you a new Mazda 6.
One problem I faced was the shift lever will not move while it's in park with the battery disconnected. So I connected the battery, and when I connected the battery, of course everything turns on. Your fuel pump is going to engage, and there's spilled fuel all over the place now. It was just pouring out. Yeah, just FYI, is there a way around that you could see? We could have done, because you can't plug it, remove the fuel pump relay.
Yep.
Of course, it's still in there. The whole time I was preaching, and maybe it's probably because I took it out when I first did it and then put it back in. So throughout this whole entire project, leave your fuel pump relay out. That's real smart. That could have been real bad.
I have this disassembled. It is still going to be some amount of time before I even get to try and do the train swap.
Yeah.
There's still a lot more preparation work to do.
Not really.
Norm said that he might have a short shifter, and if not, I could probably.
It's like Back to the Future.
That is
Inception kind of thing.
And I think that should just about do it for the shifter.
Basically, we have to watch my video because I can't even remember how to put this thing back together. So I have to watch my own video. Andy trying to put the shifter back together. Look like Golem will kneel down there.
It's me who likes the success.
Can you push up on the on the passenger side of it? There we go. Huh? Can you hold it there?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time holding the camera and the light and the
Welcome to my world.
I should have taped the phone to your camera.
We'll do is install the battery and let fuel leak all over me.
After the heat shield, just put your awesome new powder coated shift linkage back on, and that runs all the way up to the front there. I'll probably get to that part tomorrow, so it's getting late. So last night Andy came over and helped me out a lot. He got the shift lever removed, and we got the shift linkage installed and the shifter installed. There we go. That's in neutral. That's in reverse. I don't want it in reverse. I don't want it in any gear, actually. Damn, it's actually going into the gears. Dude, this is so cool! This is so cool. I got neutral first. Damn, I feel like I'm driving a truck though. This thing is so tall. We didn't get to show how to remove this stuff. Andy, you got grease all over my seat covers. Andy. No. No, I'm just kidding. I got brand new ones. So it's pretty easy. You got 2 screws there, 2 screws there. And once you get that off, you have to remove this shifter linkage from in here, and then this little button, which is probably going to be your ignition starter switch, plugs into the back of here, and you just have to disconnect these two, disconnect 2 electrical harnesses that are connected to this, and then this entire thing just comes right out. So that was really neat, and Andy pointed out it's kind of weird to see a shifter in an automatic car. I mean, that image does kind of look neat. It's like, where's the clutch pedal? No, it's not hiding over there. There's actually no clutch pedal in this car right now. But we're making progress. The emergency brake, you don't have to do anything to the emergency brake. You don't have to touch it. It has absolutely nothing to do with swapping transmissions. This stays exactly how it is. Removing the shift lever is fairly self-explanatory. There are 4 bolts, 4 screws, 2 electrical connectors, and 2 cables. Removing the shift lever in total should probably take you about 30 minutes. It's really not that complicated. You could probably do it in 5 minutes if you really want to. But I would recommend taking your time and doing it right. The bottom of this is attached to another plate that goes down here. And there's only 4 nubs that stick out where these screws would be. These screws and washers only come on the manual transmission. They don't come on the automatic transmission. When you get these at the junkyard, make sure that you get these screws and washers, especially the washers. Those are pretty important washers, because on the automatic there are plastic nubs that go down in these holes instead of the bolts. It's just nubs. Thank Mazda for keeping the same exact design, or Ford, I don't know, for keeping the same exact design so that this kind of thing is fairly easy to just drop right in. There's no modification necessary. I don't have to drill or cut on the body or anything like that. I don't have to make any kind of minor modifications. It is a direct drop in with just bolting. It's basically a bolt in. So far I haven't had to do any kind of major fabrication work. It's all just fairly plug and play thus far. The wiring, on the other hand, is going to require modification, and we'll get into that in a later video. So let's go into the car and take a look at how it looks like installed. One thing I forgot to mention is that when you take off the heat shield and drop the exhaust, you're going to want all 4 tires off the ground. You need room. They're with just the back tires on the ground, unless you're really skinny or like a 5-foot Filipino girl, you're not going to be able to fit under here. You're going to have to jack one side of the car way up to slide under there. Here's what it looks like when it's reinstalled. It looks exactly how it looked when it was an automatic, because the heat shield hides everything, except for when you get right there, you can see the shift linkages go back behind the heat shield, and those shift linkages go up to the front. Now, in order to put the front half on, you're going to want to scoot under this going back in that direction, because that is what is going to afford you the best view to get your nuts and bolts on there. One question that was posted on Mazda626.net is, why do you need this other bar? Because your shifter is only this bar right here. This is the transmission right here, and when you shift, this goes in and out. So if that's your actual shifter, then what is that? The only reason I can come up with is a torque bar or some kind of leverage, anti-leverage thing, because when you're pushing on that bar is just for stabilizer, so it becomes like an anti-torque. So when you shift forward, it takes some of the force from your shifter plate. This one right here is what actually attaches to the plate. That one right there is the one that attaches to your the end of your shifter ball bushing mount thing, and then your axle is going to go in there, and I got my axle seal, so I think I'm almost ready to put in the axles and put the car back down on its wheels. Got a shifter. That's pretty neat, huh? That's pretty neat. This is a really neat adventure. I'm liking this. I'm having a lot of fun here. It's very frustrating at times, but to see those shift bars go on is just blows my mind. I got my automatic axles back from the machine shop, and they took the hub nut off, gave me the hub separate, and I found out that the MTX axles will fit into the ATX hub, so you don't have to worry about going to get another manual transmission hub. It's the same exact hub. I just put the hub back on for tonight, because I haven't been able to put my hub back on since I took the axle out, because the hub nut was locked in place. Put it back on just to give me a semblance of normalcy, but nothing is connected. If I were to drop the car right now, it would just crash, completely crash, and the wheel and the hub and everything would break and split off. So that's just aesthetics. Well, today I got the shift linkages in, got the hubs back on, got the shifter installed. Between yesterday and today, it's been about 24 hours of straight work, kind of. At least that's what it feels like. Indy 28 came out, was a huge help. We got the shifter links installed. He figured out how to assemble the shifter, which was kind of a Chinese little finger puzzle kind of thing with snap rings and all that, and I completely forgot how to put that back together. So he was a big help, and I always enjoy it when he comes up. He's a really great guy, and I always enjoy his company. He's real funny too. Tomorrow I'm waiting for the last little piece, which is the intermediate shaft dust cap, and I'm gonna bang that back on, and then bang the axles in and get the wheels back on and tie rod and lower ball joint, and all that's gonna be covered tomorrow. The next part, which is probably gonna end up being the wiring, and I know everyone is waiting to see how this thing's gonna get wired up. And I honestly have no clue how I'm going to do it, so I've got a lot of research to do tonight. Still some more mechanical work, still have to put the intake manifold back in and all that stuff, battery, blah blah blah. But yeah, I know you guys are waiting on the wiring stuff, and that'll come in due time.